Coming up, maturity matters in fashion and style, hitting the runway with you in mind.
Getting hot, hot, hot in a spicy new career in today's second effort salute.
And new legislation that could be affecting an unintended target. All this and more next on Time for Living.
Hello and welcome to Time for Living. I'm Howard Niels.
And I'm Janet Jagalian. We've got a great show for you today. We're taking a trip to Portugal, Spain, and Morocco. We'll see beautiful beaches, spicy foods, and colorful cities.
We'll meet a woman who's making a new career out of herbs and spices, and she'll tell us how it happened.
And Steve Burke has part 2 of his 2-part series on life insurance in today's Health, Finance, and More.
So let's get started with our lead story. When it comes to aging, we all think about the adjustments we'll have to make as we get older, from our driving habits to the clothes we wear. What may not change with us is the world around us.
While the world of fashion is an ever-changing industry where what's hot today may be cold tomorrow, it doesn't mean if you're getting older you still can't look sharp and dashing.
And if you use a wheelchair or walker, it doesn't mean your elegance can't be reflected in your wardrobe. All of these aging issues were considered in the Maturity Matters Aging with Beauty Pavilion fashion show held recently in downtown Boston.
The Aging with Beauty Pavilion is the creation of Maturity Matters President Dana Atherton. Passionate about dispelling the stereotypes of aging, she has created the Easy Elegance ready-to-wear apparel line for maturing women and those with physical limitations. This year's fashion show was designed to share a 100-year retrospective of women's wear while offering a glimpse of the future for older women. Models for the costume collection are either professionals or modeling students, while the models for the Easy Elegance collection are older volunteer women ranging in age from 40 to 91 years of age. Costumes were donated through Goodwill's used clothing collection drives during the past 100 years. The design of the Aging with Beauty Pavilion stage reflects how a retail environment may be designed to reflect the aging of America while making the consumer the center of the boutique. The floor plan allows easy access and wider aisles to accommodate wheelchairs and walkers, as well as comfortable seating. Everything from dressing rooms to lavatories were located in close proximity, and image consultants were trained to assist customers who needed special attention. In addition, the fashion show was designed to reflect the former days of a salon, when customers were invited to sit at a comfortable banquet and be served by their image consultant, who discussed their needs and personal preferences for clothing and matching accessories. The customer relaxed with a cup of tea as the models strutted the boutique's wares, as the image consultant shopped the store and returned with the customer's wish list. This visual layout for the Aging with Beauty Pavilion is the creative effort of Gail Lindsay, interior designer of assisted living residences and medical facilities. The Easy Elegance line is Maturity Matters' first ready-to-wear line of apparel and is specifically designed for the modern older woman. Because historically, as women have become increasingly liberated from traditional roles, fashion has followed suit. Even though the progression of women's fashions has transcended from graceful, corseted restraint to creative, comfortable clothes for the active woman, if a woman has trouble with buttons or zippers, contemporary clothing may be as restraining as a corset. Thus, the name Easy Elegance, stylish clothing that's easy to wear, uniting dressing practicality with a distinctive sense of fashion, making today's women's clothing a time for living. When Time for Living continues, we'll meet the president of Maturity Matters and creator of the Easy Elegance apparel line.
Check mic check. How's the sound?
Count.
Count 1, 2, 3, 4.
Grand Circle Travel invites you to discover the world in a whole new way. When you call for your copy of the world's best travel values, absolutely free. Inside, you'll discover a completely new way to travel that's planned and paced exclusively for mature travelers. At last, discover the joy of meeting local people in the places you visit and learn about their unique culture and customs and experience their greatest art and architecture. From a picnic in the Swiss Alps to the spice markets of Istanbul, Grand Circle Travel invites you to discover the world in a whole new way. Call for your free copy of the world's best travel values today. To receive complete details on how you can discover the world in a whole new way with Grand Circle Travel, including your free copy of the world's best travel values, call toll-free 1-800-966-2768. That's 1-800-966-2768. Call today.
Welcome back to Time for Living. My guest today is a woman who has observed elegant older women forced to make uncomfortable choices when it comes to fashion. That being said, Dana Atherton took her 20 years experience in the healthcare and gerontology fields and in 1995 launched Maturity Matters, a privately held corporation that enjoys business affiliations with the Department of Textiles and Apparel at Cornell University and the LaSalle Institute for Fashion Technology. Her philosophy and company mission is to embrace aging as beautiful. Involving older people as counselors, guides, and mentors, Maturity Matters promotes freedom and independence among senior citizens. Welcome to Time for Living. Nice to have you here.
Thank you, Janet.
What gave you this whole idea of coming up with this kind of line of merchandise? There's no doubt in my mind there was a great need for it.
Well, there is a great need for it. I've been in the home health care field for almost 20 years, and I owned and operated a company which I sold in 1991 and continued to consult in the healthcare field while I kind of generated the idea of how I was going to proceed with creating Maturity Matters.
But had you realized that in your business, in the home health field, that people were not dressing fancy like they were, covering up their bodies only?
Well, what I discovered first is that people were dependent on other people to dress them rather than being independent to be able to dress themselves. In addition to which, they didn't have a great deal of choices in terms of clothing design to allow them to dress independently. So I started to look at the actual physical garments that were being manufactured and said, how can I make this different or make some subtle changes to it so that it accommodates the need of being able to remain independent, yet still looks really lovely and beautiful.
I know there's one difficulty that older people have if they get arthritis in their hands, doing little buttons, just doing shirt sleeve buttons. It takes so long, it's so difficult and time consuming. And this is the sort of thing that you're looking at, making it easier for people to dress in a fashionable way and allow them to do it themselves.
And yes, that's true. And I've also taken the concept one step farther. If you look at women's dresses, they've been typically designed with zippers in the back or buttons in the back, and even young women today still require someone else to help them get into it and out of it. And I felt that to bring everything forward and allow people to do this independently was very important. So everything is a front closure on the garments. There are Velcro closures hidden underneath buttons so that the garment still looks like a buttoned garment, only it's a specialized garment.
But the Velcro isn't prominent in any way?
Not any way whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's terrific. It really is, to think that people are able to dress in a very stylish way and not be concerned about it. Now, are you a designer, or do you seek out designers?
No, I designed the line myself. I'm not a designer by trade. I did not go to school for design. However, I come from a long line of stitchers and sewers, my grandmother being the mother of 13 children and being forced to design and sew for her own family, and then my mother, who continued the habit. My sister, in fact, is a fashion designer who recently moved from New York out to Seattle. So we've all done this craft ourselves.
So it's like a nice marriage in a sense. Your background in gerontology and the family's background in fashion and design, and it just made a marvelous contribution to fashion today. Having background myself currently in the skilled nursing facilities, I know that many of our residents have problems with clothes that look halfway decent. Often you feel as though they're wearing clothes that nothing matches, or they just have to really be dealt with in a timely way to have them accommodate this kind of a need.
Well, it's not just the need, there's also a mental need as well. I think it doesn't matter how old you are, whether you're young, middle-aged, or fairly elderly and frail, you want to look your best. And that was something that I discovered in the home care industry, that when I took care of or sent someone out to care for someone who was 92, that 92-year-old woman still wanted to get up and dress and have her lunch or her dinner, or invite her friends over, or have her children for a meal occasionally. And it was still important to that person to look her best. And it didn't matter that she was unable to go out as often as she would have a few years before. So I think there's an issue of self-esteem that I'm trying to address, as well as looking nice.
Right. It's all part of socialization as well.
Yes, absolutely.
And a very important part of living, of quality of life. Now, in the nursing homes, I know that people who sell clothing usually come in and do fashion shows. Do you do that sort of thing as well?
I do fashion shows. I try to also have the residents of any facility that I'm working with participate in the shows.
As models, you
As
mean?
models,
That's
absolutely. I think, because I'm designing for this population of people, I want them to participate in what I'm doing. And I feel, as a designer and as a person who's in business, it's important to get the consumer's input into what you're doing. So you're designing with the consumer in mind, and
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And trying to address what they really need or what they want.
Where else do you go to at least alert people to the fact that they can buy this sort of thing?
Assisted living facilities, retirement communities. I've been doing events around the area. I've been asked to do some events down in Florida and out in Seattle and various places. People find out about me through my appearances and through the catalog that I do mail out, and of course word of mouth makes a difference too.
But there is a catalog from which people can buy.
Correct.
And do they have a problem with sizes? I mean, I know that whenever I look at a catalog, and I'm not a hard-to-fit person, but I often wonder, am I going to send this back to get a smaller or a larger or a petite or whatever? And I assume that it's possible to return and exchange if things don't fit quite the way you hope they will.
Oh, absolutely. But what I've also done is added another dimension to catalog ordering, and that is that I physically ask people to take their measurements for me prior to sending in their order, even if it's on a piece of string and they put the string in the envelope, because then I can measure it and determine whether or not the size that they're choosing is the right size. I don't need to tell you that every designer has a different sizing structure. There's nothing that's universal in the industry, and consequently one designer's small is another designer's medium, or is another designer's large.
What happens to the body as it ages, and why is it a challenge for you to provide clothing that is going to look flattering and as though it were something that was made specially for them?
Well, I think, as most women will attest to, and I'm sure a majority of men as well, as you get older, you tend to lose your waistline. Your body fat sort of shifts. Your body physically changes in terms of your stature and your size. It's not uncommon knowledge that osteoporosis is a common problem for people who are aging, and that the osteoporosis causes a physical change in the shape of the skeletal structure of the body. The challenge to designing for this field field is something that I'm addressing now and haven't quite wrapped my hands around completely, because as the shoulders begin to narrow as you change and your stature changes, you tend to stoop forward, you lose a little bit of height, you know, although exercising certainly can help that, and your stomach line, your waistline changes. The challenge is, how do you design something that really does fit in the shoulders, for instance, and accommodate.
It doesn't pull in the back because the body may be somewhat stooped.
Right.
To a certain
and there
degree.
are some tricks to that as well. I don't think there's a designer out there that I'm aware of, including myself just yet, who has come up with the key to how to best design. But there are people who will, image consultants, for instance, will recommend, if someone has osteoporosis of the back that may be severe or not severe, to dress and bring emphasis to the forward part of your body. In other words, scarves or jewelry and that sort of thing.
Let's talk about fabric. Do you do anything special with them? Is it typical for what you would find in a nice dress shop?
Yes, it is. I've actually used a very high quality polyester microfiber, which is the newest fabrics on the market. And the fabrics are meant to be washed and put through the dryer, not through a commercial process, but certainly through a general home process.
So the care is easy.
The care is very easy. And I came up with that because I did a series of focus groups before I started designing the line and during the process of designing the line to determine what worked best for the individuals.
Do you have both casual and dressy?
I think the clothes can be casual or dressy depending upon what accessories you choose to
And do you have
put them
accessories
together.
in your catalogs as well?
I don't have accessories that I'm selling, but I do work with other individuals who provide accessories. For instance, I'm working with a woman who does hat designing, and she was a social worker with the American Cancer Society. She continues to be a social worker, but she also went back to school several years ago to study millinery design.
I noticed all the models in that piece we saw, they all had extraordinary hats on.
And that's the result.
Does that mean
of
hats are coming back?
I hope so.
I do too. I think they're fabulous.
I
they
hope
really
so.
are.
I don't know if you noticed in the piece as well, but there were a few women who were walking with canes, and there was not a very clear shot of it. However, the canes are actually designed by another local craftsperson who sells all around the country,
Wonderful.
in fact, and she has artists actually designing and painting and hand decorating the canes, which are used as accessories to outfits. And she claims she has one customer who must have 90 canes in her wardrobe because every time she buys a new dress, she snips out a piece of the fabric from the inside and
Isn't
sends
that
it to her
amazing?
to have something made to match.
That's incredible. Now, what about costs? Because you're going to all this effort, does it mean it costs more?
It's a little bit more expensive. I mean, the hope is that it will come down as the greater the volume that I do. Costs run anywhere from $67 per piece up to $105 for a jacket. There's a lot of hand and intensive labor involved in putting these things together, because if you look at the garment, you actually see additional stitching, which you don't have. The industry is interesting because they are not tooled to do what I'm asking them to do. They're tooled to put a buttonhole in a garment because they have the machinery to do that.
Yeah.
They are not tooled to put Velcro in, which means that it's extra labor to do it.
Is there more stress on clothing when it has to be accommodating in this way?
I don't think so. I think it's as stressful whether there's a button involved or a zipper involved.
No side zippers, everything is front, is that right?
No, there are no zippers in anything.
What I mean,
closures
yeah.
are in the front and on the side, but they're all Velcro and no zippers or buttons whatsoever.
And you do suits as well as dresses?
Yes,
Coats?
there are ensembles. I don't have a coat in the line. There are 7 pieces to the line. They're all separates. So they can be mixed and matched, which is, of course, a plus, increasing and expanding your wardrobe. But there are jackets, skirts, culotte skirts, and 2 different types of blouses.
What's the feedback been like, Dana? People pleased with what they're getting and ordering more?
Well, I've just launched the entire company 2 months ago, and I've been working on the research and the design of the materials and things that I've been using for the last year and a half. And the feedback I've gotten has been very positive.
Yeah.
People
What
are
about
very excited.
the women who are modeling in that piece that we saw? Were they pleased with what you have in your pavilion?
They were pleased, and they've also become customers.
Well, that says it all, doesn't it?
I think so.
They must have loved it. They must have absolutely loved it. And this is strictly for women? Is there an age at which one begins to look at your design?
No, I don't think so. I really think it should be considered ageless style because it could be for anyone. You know, unfortunately, in today's society, the way we live, chronic illness can strike us at any time, and disability can strike us at any time. And it doesn't matter if you're 33 with arthritis or 90 with arthritis.
True.
So we have, anybody can look at this, and anybody can wear the garments.
Now, are you featuring summer lines right now, and then you'll be doing seasonal clothes as well?
I'm trying to do things that are multi-seasonal, that will travel through 3 seasons essentially, with some very vibrant colors, but some muted things as well. And by mixing and matching some of the solid things with it.
And they're easy for travel, they pack well?
They pack well and they don't wrinkle. That's a real plus.
Because a lot of older Americans travel a lot, you know.
Yes, they do.
they need to look their best.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And they will.
Do you have any fashion tips for people who are watching right now?
Fashion tips. Try to think of wearing colors that complement your skin tones. Try to stay away from very dark things on bright days, for instance, and using muted tones on more somber days, for instance. Using scarves as accessories to draw attention to your face. I think what's important is people look at your face and see you, not necessarily what you're wearing, although you do want to look your best at all times.
If a person can't find one of your catalogs and they can't buy this line of clothing right now, and they're going into retail stores, is there anything they should especially look for that will be accommodating for them?
Yes, I think the elastic waistline in most garments has been a boon to anyone who has been experiencing the loss of their waistline. And I think, and what you really do want to look for are front waistbands that are not elasticized necessarily, because you want people to focus on the front of you, and elastic sometimes tends to gather a little bit too much.
And draw attention, I suppose.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dana Atherton, it's exciting, and I wish you success with your business as well.
Thank you.
Really
Thank you
wonderful.
very much.
When Time for Living continues, a spicy second effort salute to a woman whose business is hot, hot, hot. So stay with us.
Welcome back to Time for Living. When Ann Wilder started buying pounds of cumin from her local Indian market, she had no idea that at the age of 50, she was about to launch what has become a $2.5 million spice company.
With the help of her husband, Ann has turned a personal passion into a flourishing business. Mary Norton tells us how Mrs. Wilder went from art teacher to spice queen in this week's Second Effort Salute.
Spices, spices, and more spices. Ann Wilder can't get enough.
Oh, this is has a wonderful aroma. I love tarragon.
Ann Wilder's company, Van Spices, got its start 15 years ago because of her passion for tandoori seasoning.
There was a man who had a little spice shop down at the harbor, and when I bought a pound of cumin at one point, he asked me why. And so I said, well, I make tandoori, and he said he could sell that. And so then I went to my local grocery store, and Mr. Grau said, yeah, I could sell that.
She spent the next 5 years learning how to spot a better grade spice and what kind of grades were available.
As I found better products, then I could introduce them into the stores that I already was selling to, and fairly soon I was a full-scale spice house.
Vans has recently added grains, beans, and rice to its product line.
Look at these. These are baby lima beans. Aren't they beautiful? I love baby limas.
And private labels for many of its customers. The most important part of dealing with herbs and spices is making sure they are packaged and shipped while they're fresh.
We can pretty much guarantee that whatever we put out of here is 90 days from being picked, at the most. And everything that is ground is out in 7.
When rush orders come in and things get busy, Ann's husband comes out of the front office and lends a hand.
Couldn't you get somebody else to do this?
Everybody else was all busy here today. So.
Doing things by hand makes sure the herbs and spices don't break down and start to lose their flavor. Even the kosher salt must be handled gently.
We found that if you put it in a piece of machinery and it breaks that salt crystal, it becomes bitter. And then I don't like it.
And still having fun creating new spice mixtures and seasonings.
I'm having way too much fun. I mean, what other business could you be in where you meet crazy people and you get to travel and you have to go and eat the food? So I'm having a wonderful time.
I'm Mary Norton reporting.
If you have anyone you think deserves a Second Effort Salute, then write to us here at Time for Living, care of Second Effort Salute, P.O. Box 8452, Boston, Massachusetts, 02114.
Or you can leave your comments or questions on our voicemail by calling 800-232-7213 or fax us at 617-329-1774. We'd love to hear from you.
When Time for Living continues, we're headed for Portugal, Spain, and Morocco. So pack your bags. We'll be traveling around when we come back. Welcome back to Time for Living. Today we offer you a special Traveling Around segment.
We visit 3 very unique places that have a lot to offer, from coastal beauty to spicy city flavors. Spain, Morocco, and Portugal has something for everyone. Time for Living's Rex Trailer narrates the journey of tourist Carol Clark in today's Traveling Around destination.
There's a lot to see and do on the Iberian Peninsula, especially for older travelers. First stop on this trip, Portugal. With its long Atlantic coastline, it's no wonder Portugal has been a maritime nation for most of its history. Portugal is small enough to be seen during a short visit. But as Carol Clark found out, there's a lot to see.
One of the most exciting parts of the trip to Portugal was a chance to see the Lipizzaner, the Spanish horses that are trained, and the bulls being in training. There, the heifer came charging out of there. She's probably sitting in the field with Ferdinand, both of them smelling the flowers and saying, "Not for me to be a bull."
Portugal has much to offer travelers: fine beaches, beautiful castles, and charming fishing villages. It remains relatively undiscovered, unlike its larger neighbor, Spain. Spain's Costa del Sol offers tourists several luxury hotels to choose from. And if you'd like to sample delicious food, this is the place to go.
One of the things I like to learn about are the different recipes using the same ingredients that we're used to at home and turning out a totally different dish. It's been a part of my life. My father was a fantastic cook, and I have taught cooking for 26 years.
Yeah, one, right. Yeah.
Sí,
Yeah.
una persona mayor,
Yeah.
para uno.
But
Y baby,
little. Baby. Ah! And what's Sandy?
dos.
Yeah.
Dos baby.
Two.
Eso, tú.
Two babies.
No,
Two hand.
toda.
Whole hand.
No measuring cups.
No matter.
Okay, so the shrimps are going in raw. Don't cook them first.
Leave the heads on.
Yeah.
The flavoring.
Staring at me.
Well, that's all right. Just say, you have received absolution.
Yeah, these have been boiled, huh?
Look how pretty she makes the pretty design.
Yeah,
Yeah.
set out like a little star.
That's why normally a cook here always shows the paella when it's ready. They bring it. They show it like that at the table. before
Oh, and then take it and serve it. Ambrosia. More. I'm living in Spain.
Just a ferry ride away is exotic Morocco. Very different from Portugal and Spain, Morocco is on the northern coast of Africa. The highlight of Carol Clark's stop in Morocco, a visit to the spice market.
This one is it looks like a freshwater chestnut. It's dry, or sea urchin, dried sea urchin. I don't feel by myself that it would have been safe for me to go in, and I'm a pretty adventuresome person. And I would never have gone there without a competent guide.
There are travel packages available which include Portugal, Spain, and Morocco. The only complaint about the trip is it leaves you wanting to go back for another visit.
Someday I want to come back again to Spain to see the northern part. And I definitely want to go back to Portugal. You never see all the things you want to see on the first go-round.
If you would like to learn more about Spain and Portugal, call Grand Circle Travel at 800-966-2802, extension 101. Again, that's Grand Circle Travel, 800-966-2802, extension 101.
When Time for Living continues, Steve Burke has part 2 of his 2-part series on life insurance. Do you have the right coverage for you and your family? Find out on today's Health, Finance, and More.
Attention mature travelers. Grand Circle Travel invites you to discover the world in a whole new way. When you call for your copy of the world's best travel values, absolutely free. Inside, you'll discover a completely new way to travel that's planned and paced exclusively for mature travelers. At last, discover the joy of meeting local people in the places you visit and learn about their unique culture and customs, and experience their greatest art and architecture. From a picnic in the Swiss Alps to the spice markets of Istanbul, Grand Circle Travel invites you to discover the world in a whole new way. Call for your free copy of the world's best travel values today. To receive complete details on how you can discover the world in a whole new way with Grand Circle Travel, including your free copy of the world's best travel values, call toll-free 1-800-966-2768. That's 1-800-966-2768. Call today.
Welcome back. The last time Steve Burke was here, he talked about 3 different types of life insurance which are available to us. Well, today he discusses who should buy insurance, older citizens or younger, and what kind.
As Steve said in part 1, the first thing to keep in mind is that life insurance is simply money for future delivery. Either the money is meant to be supportive for the family or spouse, a business partner, buyout, or a charitable organization, or possibly some special situation which is important to the insured.
Well, since the person buying the coverage knows better than anyone else the finance involved, they are the logical one to pick the type of policy which should be purchased. Now, to avoid the situation known as insurance poor, the person buying the coverage should have 2 figures in mind. How much money can be sensibly paid for a premium, and how much money does one want available, and for how long if the insured should pass away prematurely. Well, with that in mind, here's Steve Burke with part 2 on insurance coverage in today's Health, Finance, and More.
Let's start with an easy example first. Minimal initial cost. You're young, don't have a big income, but have a young family you want to protect financially if you're not around. Chances are that term insurance may well fit the bill for you because it provides lots of coverage for very little premium at the beginning and can be changed in the future. One thing to note, there are exceptions to most everything in this day and age, and that's why you always ask questions when discussing insurance of any kind. Are there any exceptions to this coverage which I should know? Remember, term insurance is like rent. You don't develop any equity in the policy. Put another way, there's no cash value accumulating for you. So you just have a lot of canceled checks, like rent receipts, when you stop paying premiums. But term insurance is very good for certain exposures, as a stopgap or a short-term need. Term insurance comes in logical time offerings. Annual term, which means there's an annual premium, which generally increases year to year, 5-year, 10-year, 20-year, and other time frames, such as term to 65, or decreasing term, which reduces coverage as your mortgage or note reduces. And it is initially inexpensive at young ages. A few $100s will buy $200,000 to $300,000 of protection if you are healthy. This is a good time to interject a comment about extra premiums for insurance. Sometimes it's referred to as a rated or extra class insurance. What it means is that the proposed insured is not as healthy as others his or her age, or possibly the person is engaged in a more hazardous job than most of us. From an actuary's point of view, this means extra risk to the insurance company and therefore higher premium. It is not a personal criticism, but rather a clinical evaluation of risk. You can imagine that medical conditions or sometimes hazardous jobs become more common as we get older. Again, it is not meant as a put-down of the individual, but rather an objective appraisal of the person. This leads us to an example of an older person who feels the need for insurance. Why buy any? Like a younger person, the more mature individual may have financial areas which concern him. It could be a spouse, an estate exposure, or possibly elderly parents or sibling who depends upon this individual in many cases. Older citizens have business interests or other investments which bring with them financial concern if they were to die. Not always, but generally, universal life and variable life are not as sensible for an older insured. The reason? These are apt to change premiums in the years ahead, which can be unsettling to the person trying to establish firmer budgets. Ordinary life or limited life policies have more predictable premiums and therefore work well with budgets or a knowledge of future expenses. At the same time, interestingly, term insurance may be a valid option for the older purchaser because it has a lower premium for a while than cash value policies, while it buys some time for the insured. Term insurance is rarely a long-time solution, however. To sum up, you know what you want to protect: families, spouses, business partners, or to help favorite charities or situations. Insurance is protection for those just mentioned. It can also be protection for you personally, because cash value insurance can provide you with cash in your later years, or specific goals such as education, trips, or retirement homes. Try to have as precise specifications about what you want to accomplish as you can. Then sit down with a professional life insurance agent, tell the agent your goals, and remember to ask lots of questions to make sure you're headed in the right direction. I'm Steve Burke. Time for Living.
If you have any additional questions regarding any financial topics discussed on Time for Living, then write to Steve Burke at Time for Living, care of Health, Finance, and More, P.O. Box 8452, Boston, Massachusetts, 02114.
Or you can leave your comments or questions on our voicemail by calling 800-232-7213 or fax us at 617-329-1774. We'd love to hear from you. When Time for Living continues, a look at the impact of welfare legislation on people who may not be the intended target. Welcome back to Time for Living. The welfare reform bill signed by President Clinton last summer will go into full effect this August. Recently, there has been much media attention focused on the impact this will have on welfare mothers and their families, who will be hit the hardest.
However, many of you may not be aware that some 500,000 impoverished seniors will be hit just as hard. They'll be cut off from their Supplemental Security Income, or SSI, and food stamp benefits. Mary Norton reports on the growing concern.
Federal welfare recipients will soon become the responsibility of their state and local jurisdictions, adding billions of dollars in extra costs and imposing a challenge these local governments must address with minimal guidance and maximum creativity.
It's up to the local departments and the local advisory boards to fill in all the blanks and say how is it that they're going to help people become independent.
The impact will be devastating to those who need it the most, seniors who receive a supplemental security income and food stamp benefits.
How do we get people fed? What about housing issues of heating and cooling them in the summer, winter? We're probably just going to have to be greater volunteers than we already are.
Many local communities have volunteer programs already in place, like Meals on Wheels, to help feed low-income elderly people. But there are some older welfare recipients who are being overlooked.
We have a great number of seniors out there raising grandchildren, and they really are not aware of the fact that welfare reform coming back to the states could have an impact on the little monies they've managed to obtain from the state in raising those grandchildren.
The impact of welfare reform is far-reaching. It not only affects teen mothers and disadvantaged people, but a large number of seniors who are struggling to do the right thing for their families.
You may find that some of our representatives think of welfare reform in terms of the younger generation, the single mother, the single kid, with the baby, but don't think about it in terms of seniors.
As you see, welfare reform is a truly intergenerational concern. I'm Mary Norton reporting.
At this time, several bills under consideration in Congress would reverse, at least temporarily, some of the cuts of last year.
In the meantime, there are several things you can do to help. Start by calling your congressional representative and ask them to soften some of the harsher provisions of the legislation. And perhaps more importantly, contact your state and local representatives and tell them your concerns. Find out what is being done in your community to help those who need it the most.
We now turn to this week's Medical Minute. How many of our viewers have limited their enjoyment of life because of problems related to the proper functioning of their mouth, teeth, and gums? Well, studies support the fact that acute dental problems account for more restricted activity, days in bed, and work loss than conditions of the eye, the skin, or non-migraine headaches.
While 6% of total health care costs go to dental care, older adults often are underutilizers of dental health services for reasons of access, cost, and their expectations of aging. Poor oral health alters the quality of life for any of us over our entire lifetime, but new oral health problems impacts the quality of life of older adults in social, emotional, and biological ways. Oral health is the topic of this week's Medical Minute with Dr. Alan Abrams.
Let's look at the many ways your mouth and oral cavity can serve you. First, it is the first line of defense in protecting you against systemic infections. Second, the mouth is responsible for the adequate chewing, tasting, and swallowing of food. Third, your smile provides you with a sense of facial attractiveness and self-esteem. Fourth, you express yourself to others both through words and expressions with your mouth. While good oral health goes almost unnoticed, poor oral health and the progressive nature of oral disease renders the older adult even more at risk for declines in the quality of their life and health. Here are some of the major problems that commonly beset the mouths of older adults. 1. The most serious impairment are those which impact the integrity of the teeth and the gums. Problems here could lead to tooth loss, foul-smelling breath, and changes in your meal composition. Frequently, these changes in eating habits create nutritional issues. And in addition, social isolation from oral discomfort discourages singing, smiling, or even kissing. This results in older individuals ill at ease with themselves and others. 2. Oral facial pain and discomfort is also high on the list of treatable conditions. While oral facial cancers are common in alcohol and tobacco users, malalignment of the teeth and dentures and jaw joint pain are more common in non-users. Simple dental interventions can often correct these kinds of problems. Realigning your dentures or filing rough surfaces may be all that it takes. 3. A lack of adequate salivation is responsible for a number of problems in the mouth of older adults. Many medications commonly taken by older adults renders the mouth dry, leaving the patient at higher risk for nutritional difficulties, dental decay, and poor-fitting dentures. Ask your physician to assist you in rearranging your medications if this sounds like your problem. 4th, in some instances, a problem in the mouth is a manifestation of another illness. Diabetics in poor control have more dental infections, for example. In this age of fluoridation, dental disease should be better prevented. As you age, oral cavity problems are not a problem of aging alone. Ask your physician to assess your oral health and whether medications or other diseases are affecting your mouth. A good oral exam by your doctor involves a lighted inspection of your mouth and the placing of a gloved finger in your mouth to feel for lumps. Poor oral health is correlated with more time in bed, decreased socialization, social withdrawal, lack of motivation, and less interested in eating. Good oral health is associated with better health and a healthier experience of life in general. Good preventive care, regular dental evaluation, and prompt attention to changes in the health of your mouth can help make the later years a time for living. This is Dr. Alan Abrams with your Medical Minute.
So remember, an apple a day can keep the doctor and the dentist away.
Among other things, of course.
Well, we'll have more time for living when we come back. Welcome back. Before we say goodbye, we'd like to give you our address and phone numbers one last time. You can write or call us with your questions, comments, or suggestions, because remember, this show is not only for you, it is about you.
The address again is Time for Living, P.O. Box 8452, Boston, Massachusetts 02114, or send a fax to 617-329-1774. If you don't feel like writing, you can leave us a message on our voicemail by calling 800-232-7213.
Well, we hope you enjoyed today's show, and we look forward to seeing you again next week, and we'll certainly have more interesting people and places to introduce you to. Until then, remember, it's time for living.
Take care.
Bye.